And we'll quickly look at a few conversations still coming out of the political space and the fresh dynamics that is playing out, especially with the likes of Rufai, Nasir Rufai, former governor of Kaduna State, that has now moved to the Social Democratic Party. But remember that we've also had the conversation about him being a growing voice of opposition. Once it was his party, it was his people, but now he's opposing the party, opposing what they stand to represent. And over the weekend, he had a BBC Hausa interview where he was, watched and seen to be canvassing for the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Amechi, Rotimi, and several other political elites to join in the mass exodus to the SDP. His canvassing Aregbesola, several persons to become a member of the SDP party. And to what end? And what exactly would this achieve? And quite a number of things he said in that particular video. Unfortunately, as we don't have a transcribed version, we will not be able to bring you that particular clip, but we'll just allow it to play silently on our screen this morning. But a few things that I would read out as an interpretation of that particular interview is the fact that he said, what I want and pray for is for all opposition leaders, Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Rotimi Amechi, and Rauf Aregbesola, to join the SDP. Of course, these are the words of El Rufai. And now he talks about the fact that what pains him is that the government we supported and had confidence in would do well, because we saw what Tinubu did in Lagos despite his challenges. We all know about his issues in Chicago, but we thought if we could replicate his work in Lagos for Nigeria, let's support him. However, he failed. Now we also see here, still in the stream of this particular interview that he granted the BBC, I never betrayed Atiku Abubakar because we didn't meet in politics. We met at work. In work, if I see that he didn't do well, whoever he is, I will tell him. I told Buhari, and I even took Buhari to court on the new Naira issue. When Obasanjo and Atiku were having issues, those of us working with Obasanjo looked at the issues between them and said Obasanjo was more right. It was not about North and South. Obasanjo was right. Atiku and I are now together. And if I betrayed him, why are we together now? Says El Rufai. This is some of the things that he said in this particular video. We'll just allow you to have a soundbite. And for our viewers up north, Kaduna, Jos, Nasrawa, everywhere up north this morning, you just have a quick feel of this and we'll get back right into the conversation.
Wasu su sun yi, na san abubuwan da suka yi aikin gwamnati. Dan da wayenmu suka yi. Na yi aikin gwamnati, kuma ni na san yadda ne kokarin rike gaskiya a aiki na da kuma advancing interest din arewan da suke magana. Sai ka fito ka ce a'a abin in dattijan arewa ne tsakanin su da Allah na gaskiya, ai ya kamata su tsaya su ce gaskiya bayan shekara 8 na Buhari mulki ya koma kudu. Haka dattijan arewa zai tunani.
Amma ka san an ce shi dattijo yana da hangen nesa. Baka tunanin wannan abin da kake da na sani suka hango?
Ba abin da suka hango, dan Tinubu ba su kuɗi bane lokacin da sun canza sun ce a yi shi.
To yanzu kana
mun san halin su, mun san su sarai.
To yanzu ka shiga jam'iyyar SDP, baka tunanin kana bukatar su?
Wallahi ni al'umma nake bukata. Yi magana.
Za ka yi takara?
Ban sani ba. Ai ba ni ne zan ce zan takara ba. Jami'iya ce da mutane su ne za su ce ka zo kai takarar wannan ko takarar da nayi na baya na gwamna. Ai mutane ne suka je suka samu Buhari suka yi convincing din shi ya kira ne ya ce ka je kai takara, kuma ni ban ma so in ba, domin ni ban taba takara, ban iya ba.
Wataƙila tsohon mataimakin shugaban Najeriya Alhaji Atiku Abubakar na ciki. Ana ganin cewar a baya kamar kai masa butulci irin na siyasa, yanzu kuma sai gashi ana ganin ku a tarihi haka.
Well, Vice President Atiku Abubakar mun yi aiki da shi, kuma na ji daɗin aiki da shi, kuma I believe ya yi babban gudunmawa a shugabancin Najeriya. amma ni ban taɓa mishi wani butulcin siyasa ba, because siyasa wata haɗa mu, aiki ya haɗa mu. Amma a cikin aiki idan na gaya ba daidai ba, ko shi wane ne zan gaya mishi.
Kamar ana
na gaya ma Buhari, na rubuta mishi.
A key part of this conversation is the fact that Rufai talks about his pain, his deepest pain in the Tinubu-led government, being the fact that a crop of persons, a crop of political elite in Nigeria had believed in that very fabricated what he did in Lagos move to be replicated in Nigeria. And that is why, amidst all that they knew about him, about the Chicago State University issue, we're also talking about several documents that were presented during the campaigns in 2023. Rufai is acknowledging the fact that a lot of them in that particular pursuit for President Tinubu to become president knew about these issues, but they just felt, hey, look, if he made Lagos work, maybe he will make Nigeria work. And I remember that mainstream media had serious conversations about this. Key question number one I kept asking was, what exactly did Mr. Tinubu do in Lagos State? Someone has to remind us what exactly he did in Lagos State. You know, and these are the questions, these are the arguments that we keep arguing. But the flip side is, why does Rufai feel disappointed? Now, if you believe that he was going to make the country work, is he not trying to make that happen? He has taken away subsidy. Now, for the first time in the almost 2 years of the Tinubu-led administration, he has actually called out the Buhari-led administration, saying that, you know, that particular administration left Nigeria on the brink of bankruptcy, and that the first move that was going to correct that was the removal of the subsidy, which would save future generations. So let's imagine that in the long run, in the future, if there are no inconsistencies with the subsidy removal narrative, that Nigeria will be the better for it because of this particular move. Let's go to the Naira floating. That's another key policy of this particular administration. Remember that one of Rufai's key fights against Buhari was the Naira redesign, which means that activities around the Naira was already plummeting the value of that particular currency. Don't you think that with the floating of the Naira, that Tinubu is working towards making the economy better? Now, these questions are questions that I would pose to an Rufai. Because if you sat down and agreed, had a blueprint looking at Lagos versus Nigeria, and we don't know how Lagos became the calculation for Nigeria, you also have to agree that when you're looking at the growth in Lagos State, you're looking at public-private partnerships that makes Lagos the economic hub that it is. It is nothing dependent on what Lagos State does as a government. It is the collective sweat of a lot of people, multinationals, Nigerians, and the like. That's why Lagos State is what it is currently. And what Lagos State is today is not what Bola Ahmed Tinubu made it when he was governor of the state. Yes, maybe a few infrastructure here and there, or a few rules or laws and policies here and there, but you can't say that the man made Lagos, and so you gave him the opportunity. So why then are you now crying foul? The problem, as we keep on with this particular conversation, is Nigerians are also a little bit too gullible, because how are we now having conversations of, if you're in support of Rufai, do this? How does Rufai become the good person? These are politicians. But let's also look at these invitation that he has given to the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Peter Obi, Amechi Rotimi. He's also called Aregbesola, and several other persons that he is inviting hush-hush. Now, there are strong conversations and, you know, agitations for more defections. There are also rumors about defections that may be pending from the APC. We're talking elites within the APC that may be looking to actually defect from the party. Is that even possible? But when you look at a coalition of the four aforementioned people moving to the SDP, is that even a possibility? A lot of Nigerians are of the opinion that the day would not come where he sees the likes of Obi joining him in the SDP. I think we have a call this morning. We take our first call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, I think we lost that particular call. I hope you can try to call us again. Our phone lines are on the screen, but if you have a difficulty trying to reach us, please send us a WhatsApp message or a text message, and we'll definitely take your contributions on the show this morning. But the conversations would be, if the likes of Atiku were to even consider moving to SDP, what impact would it have on the 2027 elections or the 2031 election? Is the crop of the same politicians moving on to a different political party the solution that we need as a country? Because these are the same political elites, these are the same people that have Nigeria where they want it. Moving to a different party, does it bring a solution? And what exactly is Rufai promising Nigeria with this move? Now remember that, you know, he has not made any promises on what his aspirations are. He's just saying, let this opposition move up and then let them try to regain Nigeria from the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But it's difficult for you to have crowned a king and then you decide that all of a sudden this is not the person that you want anymore. But serious conversations that we're seeing. Now let's look at, we're also having arguments as to how unruly the timing of these canvassing for 2027 tickets are. But it's a whole kind of distraction that we're seeing. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning. Your name and where you're calling from? Hello? Okay, fortunately, I don't know what's getting in the way, but we're not able to hear our callers this morning. And I hope that that can be fixed quickly so that we can push on the conversation this morning. Please try again, and we hope we can take that very valued contribution that you have on this. So we're still looking at the laughability of this particular move by Rufai, but we also see that quite a number of persons have come out to say, you know, we are not in on what Rufai is doing. Remember that Rufai had mentioned last week that he got the blessings of former President Muhammadu Buhari to move to the SDP. And just within 24 hours, the former president came out to say, oh, you know, I am still a bona fide member of the APC, and this has nothing to do with me in person. Rufai has also gone out to say that he won't be reacting to idle talks. He won't be reacting to any kinds of idle talks coming out of his move to the SDP or the fact that he is canvassing for several other persons to join him. And a lot of reactions are still coming up off the heels of this particular call that he has made for other opposition leaders in Nigeria to join him in the SDP. But what is the overall goal of this? Is he going to make headways? Is it possible to actually unseat President Bola Ahmed Tinubu come 2027? Because remember, the APC and several other stakeholders have continued to say that there is no room for any other person in the Aso Villa. All right. We also see that Yakasai backs Tinubu, as Lamido, of course, has gone ahead to slam Rufai's defection call. Of course, he's been calling for more people to defect. But prominent elder statesman and First Republic politician Alhaji Tanko Yakasai yesterday expressed strong support for President Bola Tinubu's administration, highlighting the steady progress and achievements recorded by the government. So different factions have what they call steady progress and what they call steady results, while Nigerians themselves have a different interpretation of what is going on by this particular administration. But Yakasai praised Nigerians for their continued support and prayers for Tinubu's success. So you're also going to be asking, who are these Nigerians? Asserting that the administration's accomplishments validated the public trust that was vested into President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now we're looking at the fact that there are confusing reportage as to the fact that the prices of food is falling in Nigeria. Just as I hope we are able to take calls this morning, I would also like, as part of the contributions that we get on the show, for our callers to tell us this morning, is the price of food falling, decreasing in your part? I have been to the market over the weekend, and my answer to that is no. Remember the you also have to contextualize the frame in which prices of commodities have been put. The president at the beginning of the Ramadan fast had said that marketers and product vendors should make sure that the prices of commodities come down in light of the Ramadan season that we are in. And my question on the heel of the president's speech regarding this issue was, so after the Ramadan, what then happens? So if we are even seeing a slight decrease in the price of commodities, for instance, maybe the prices of commodities up north may have reduced. But when you look at the transportation cost, bringing it down south and down east, or taking it up to the west, the conversation of the prices of these commodities will be absolutely different. If we are having some form of rebates as a result of the Ramadan fast and the call of the president, Ramadan will end in a few days, maybe a week or two. What then happens to Nigerians? And all of a sudden we see a resurge of price on commodities, something that the core member, which is recently quote unquote in trouble for, quoted in her video. And this is a serious issue. But then, so we're looking at prices of commodities decreasing in the country, being part of the things that this administration is accruing to its successes. Now, Yakata is saying that families can now afford essentials like rice, beans, maize, and sorghum. And I keep saying that political elites in Nigeria should not open their mouth to talk about the prices of commodity. How much was a module of rice before the Tinubu-led administration? You can't come and tell me that me that is buying a cup of rice at 550 naira, if I don't want to break my teeth with stones to go and buy at 350 or 400 naira, which used to sell at 100 or 150 naira before this administration came. You can't be telling us that the prices of commodities have fallen and that families can now afford meals, because these are not the true statistics of things happening in Nigeria. But at the end of the day, Nigerians would always support what they want to support. We are having the argument that the fuel price has come down. Let's go back to that conversation. Why did fuel price come down? Dangote Refinery looked at whatever indices they had and decided, first of all, in December, he said, in view of the Yuletide, he reduced it. Came up in January again, gave another reason and reduced it. And because of that, the NNPC has been on a cat and mouse race with the Dangote Refinery. Now, look, the fact that if the Dangote Refinery did not reduce the price of the commodity, we would still be buying fuel at 1,150 naira and above. So if tomorrow Dangote Refinery wakes up and says, oh, this over 500 million that we are going to lose as a result of changing the price in commodity, we do not want to lose that amount as a business, so we are taking back up our prices, would we still calculate this as a success story of the Tinubu-led administration with the price of the commodity coming down? How much were we buying fuel before he came into power? And so there's a lot of controversy around the conversations that we are having. But Nigeria is what Nigeria is. Rufai is asking his opposition brothers, to come and join him in the SDP. But I don't know if that is going to be a good call. And now remember also that a lot of politicians, there has been conversations about coalitions. Would the PDP get into a coalition with the Labour Party? Would they get into a coalition with the NNPP? And all of these politicians across both presidential candidates have all come out to say at one time or the other that there was no coalition of sort. Now, if you take all of these persons and put them in the SDP, who will you choose as your flag bearer? And what solution would that particular move afford Nigerians?